This episode, I'm going to show you guys how to make your plants thrive instead of just survive. Welcome to Garden Logic TV, where we grow smarter every day. First thing you should do is make sure you choose the right variety. So this is a guava apple. It's much bigger than the regular guava, produces more fruit. This is actually a hybrid from the nursery. They're usually like a lot smaller. This variety, it's more mushy. When you eat it, it tastes better. It's more tender. Whereas the small guava, it's like kind of hard, and you usually just juice it and drink it as a juice. This is much more tender and delicious. So make sure you get the guava apple. It's really important that you take care of the soil first. That's why you always see I'm mulching it heavily. The mulch not only feeds the plant, it also feeds the underground network, the fungi, the bacteria, the insects. And what happens is it creates a more spongy soil. The soil is more spongy. It allows for more air to reach the roots and allows the plant to really thrive. Without the right amount of air going to the roots, you can actually deplete the nutrient absorption going to the whole plant by about 90%. This mulberry tree is very beginner friendly. It improves the soil over time. In fact, a lot of people grow this in a dead soil to bring it back to life. It actually thrives in a dead soil. It actually grows perfectly fine in a dead soil. It's important to choose the variety that's best for your climate. So this variety is good in a tropical climate like mine. You may choose a variety that's more suited to your climate. The cool thing about mulberry is that it's very resilient. It's strong in all kinds of climates. You can see this tree produces a ton of fruits. You can see all the little fruits growing here. That's because I just recently pruned it in a previous episode. Pruning encourages new branches to grow out, and the berries grow on the first few nodes. So right here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes with berries on each of the nodes. That's true for all of the new branches throughout the whole tree. And what you can do with mulberries is actually propagate them like I showed you in a previous episode and plant a lot of mulberry trees and then stagger them. So I might prune this one, then 2, 3, 4 weeks later, I prune the next one, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, I prune the next one. And what's going to happen, you're going to have an endless supply of mulberries throughout all your trees. So you have fruit throughout the whole year. It's fun for your family to come out and pick the mulberries all year round. Now for the mango tree. What you see above ground with fruit trees is also what happens below ground. So you can see this, mango tree has it grows like tall. And what happens above ground also occurs below ground. It also grows a very deep taproot. And because of that, you don't really want to overwater this because it has a very deep taproot. It actually likes to dry out a little bit. That's why it thrives in the Philippines, because we have a dry period every year. That's what this plant is native. It's native to the Philippines. That's how it's accustomed. It's accustomed to drying out. So during dry periods, you actually want the soil to dry out completely. You don't have to come out here and water it every day because it has a very deep taproot. In fact, that could kill the mango tree because a lot of people have issues with mango. They think it got a disease and died. What probably happened is it hit an underground water pocket or an underground river. A lot of people don't know that there's actually rivers underground. And if the taproot goes into that water, it can suffocate the roots and cause a rot and kill the whole tree. One interesting fact about the mango is here in the Philippines, it's known as having the sweetest mangoes in the world. And I used to think that's because of a certain variety, like a special variety that's here in the Philippines. And that's not actually the case. What makes it the sweetest mangoes in the world here in the Philippines is because of that dry period that happens in the Philippines. We had a 3-month dry period. And what that happens is it actually allows the fruit to get more sugar and be sweeter. So this avocado tree is much different than the mango. Instead of growing a deep taproot, it actually grows shallow roots that kind of go out. And that actually improves the soil, much like the mulberry tree, how it improves the soil. The thing about avocado is it's not really native to the Philippines. It's actually a subtropical tree that requires water all year round. It does not like a dry period. So if you have a dry period, you must water it at least once per week or even twice per week. You don't have to overwater it, but a nice consistent watering will really make your plant thrive. Now for the banana plant, it also grows a shallow root system. But these are very heavy feeders because this is not a true fruiting tree. It is in fact a shrub. It creates a very bacterial-rich soil that absorbs a ton of nutrients. So it's very important if you want to grow a lot of bananas, you must fertilize it. You must add a lot of nutrient-dense fertilizer. use banana mulch. You can also use grass clippings. What that's going to do is break down and feed the underground network, the insects, the fungi, and the bacteria. What they do is create a spongy soil, like I talked about earlier, that allows the oxygen to go in and really increase the nutrient absorption. Now this, jackfruit tree here, it also requires a ton of mulch because it grows so big and it has a very, big trunk, very big leaves, requires a lot of nutrients and it requires a very fertile soil. You can see here, I also add a ton of compost. Again, that makes the soil more spongy, allows air to go to the roots, allows the plant to really thrive. Just like the mango tree, this is also native here to the Philippines, and it creates this deep taproot. Just like I said earlier, what you see above ground is what happens below ground. Just like the mango tree, this grows a very deep taproot, which thrives here in the Philippines because here in the Philippines, there's a dry season that lasts about 3 months where you get hardly any rain at all. And that's when this plant really thrives. It gets all the oxygen to the roots. So because of that, you want to avoid overwatering this. You can water like once per week during a dry period, just a little bit to make sure it's not going to dry out. But it actually thrives during a dry period. So anytime you see a tree with a tall trunk like this, it also has a deep taproot and you don't have to water it as much. So here I have a citrus tree. This is called calamansi. This is native here to the Philippines. It's a type of lime tree. Now, a lot of people have trouble with citrus trees, and there's a lot of marketing saying that you should buy acidic chemicals. You put it in the soil to increase the acidity of the soil. The problem with these chemicals that increase the acidity of your soil is it's like a permanent solution, and you can overdo it and actually harm the plant. And once you add it, you can't take it back out. So instead of doing that, which actually harms the plant, you want to mulch it often with green grasses and weeds and leaves. That naturally increases the acidity in the soil. It also feeds the underground network, creates a more spongy soil. It allows the roots to get air, increase nutrient absorption. And once the plant is ready, has enough structure, has enough leaves, it'll then make fruit. So for the citrus plants, you don't have to really fertilize it until it's really big and it's well established, just to increase the fruit production. But in a backyard garden, it's really not necessary. It produces a ton of fruit already as is without the need for fertilizer. So here we have our water spinach. Here in the Philippines, we call this kangkong. This is our number one producer of food, and it's a cut and come again food. So instead of harvesting the whole thing, you just harvest the leaves only, and then put this down, cover it with soil to grow more. It actually produces a ton of food. And what's so cool about this is that you don't have to prepare your soil at all. It actually thrives in clay soil like this. What we have is a very clayey soil. The reason why this thrives in clay soil is because it really holds on to water, and that's what this plant loves. It loves a lot of water. This plant originated in swampy lowland areas where it's very wet. That's where it comes from. This variety actually is called Chinese kangkong or Chinese water spinach. And what they did is they naturally bred it. They naturally selected breeding it over many, many thousands of years to grow in a more mountainous area. They actually grow this in the mountains of China through natural selection breeding. So this variety, it grows a little bit taller. The leaves are a little bit broader. Unlike the other plants that I showed you earlier, we really need to mulch it heavily and take care of the soil to increase the air to get to the roots. The water spinach, you don't have to worry about all of that because it can still get air to the roots even when it's waterlogged like this. And the reason why is because the stem is hollow. It has these hollow stems, and that allows the air to go down to the roots. So even in a waterlogged condition like this, it still gets air to the roots. So this is a very beginner-friendly, easy cut and come again vegetable. It tastes delicious, produces a lot of food. You don't have to take care of your soil. This is growing in clay soil that a lot of people have difficulty growing in. Some other varieties of plants that grow well in clay soil could be mustard greens, cabbage. They actually grow very well in clay soil. So instead of like doing all this hard work and preparing your soil, just grow what naturally grows in your area. For instance, water spinach or mustard greens or cabbage in your clay soil. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching Garden Logic TV, where we go smarter every day. I'll see you in the next episode.